If there's a day that I truly regret, is the day that I began having feelings for Madame Roseline. Madame Roseline was my boss, and she was 55 years old. Yeah, 55. So it all began when I was a third year at Pwani University. I was just finishing my second semester of third year, and I was desperate for paid attachment opportunity, an industrial attachment opportunity, however little that pay was. This is because I was coming from a family of 7 siblings. I was the second born in that family. My eldest sister was just finishing her second year at a rehabilitation center here in Nairobi. So every other responsibility as a older sibling fell on me. So you can imagine when you're coming from a family setup of 7 siblings and a single mother with no formal job, no formal education, just struggling with trade here and there to raise us. Anything that would make you eke a living, you'd go for it. That's why at that point I was desperate for a paid internship, however little that amount of pay was. So at this moment, I know you're asking yourself, where was my dad? My dad had one day woke up and left for work. And my people, that is the last day we saw Dad. Many months after he left, we heard that he was raising another family in Kilifi, and our attempts to reach him and make contacts with him were futile. So we really had to train ourselves and train our minds to forget about Dad and struggle on our own. So that was the situation at our family level. So I kept on looking for recruiters or companies that were hiring, especially under a paid internship program. And Mungu ni nani? Mungu ni nani? I got an opportunity at the ICT department at Taifa Tours and Travels. It was a very significant moment in our life as a family because this being an attachment program, I was placed under a monthly retainer of 40,000 shillings. 40,000 shillings is an amount of money that not only myself but my entire family would dream about. My mom was proud of me, my siblings were happy that at least for once in their entire life, they would afford at least one decent meal a day. And so I thanked God for this opportunity at Taifa Tours and Travels, and I promised myself to work so hard to remove my family from that particular place that we were in the society where poverty was synonymous with us. So my good people, I reported to Taifa Tours and Travels. I joined the ICT department, of course as an intern for a 3-month program. The people at Taifa were very good people. They were visionary, they were very objective, they were so hardworking, and we had a very nice blend as co-workers, and it was a perfect corporate environment to further my knowledge and career in the ICT field. Our human resource officer always reminded us to put our best foot forward, because they were having a corporate culture of rewarding those who were hardworking in that company, I beg your pardon. So, my good people, the CEO and founder of Taifa Tours and Travels was Madam Roseline Mutai. A very powerful, well-educated, decent, and powerful lady within corporate administration here in Nairobi. She only came to the office once a week. That was every Friday. And when we talk about level-headed, powerful, and financially independent women in this part of the world, definitely our CEO, Miss Roseline Mutai, was among that group of the privileged. she wore the very best of colognes. Her dressing was upbeat, and she had a life that we could only admire, but never even dreamt of coming close to. So one day, I was at the office, my corner desk, at the ICT department of Taifa Tours and Travels. The HR walked in and told me, "Socrates, come with me." So I rose up and I followed him to wherever he wanted me to follow him to. So I realized that we were headed towards Mrs. Roseline Motai's office. I wonder what we were going to do in such a powerful office. It's an office that has nothing to do with the employees. It's the pinnacle of the administrative apparatus of that particular firm. She had no business knowing who the employees were, leave alone at a cheese like myself. So when we were headed towards that office, my heart skipped a bit, and I was like, there's nothing wrong I've done. Maybe there's an issue or two that they wished I would handle. So when we walked in, ladies and gentlemen, that office was the pure definition of class. Everything within the environment of Mrs. Rosaline's office was class on its own. Everything was glass, the marbles were awesome, and everything smelled expensive. And for once I saw that when you say that pesa imepotea or hakuna pesa or sina do, trust me, it's you alone. People in this town have money. So there she was, Madam Roseline, CEO, Taifa Tours and Travels, larger than life, literally. And she, you know how you call somebody when you don't have time, probably you're late for some virtual appointment or Zoom meeting or something. She was like, come. Then she was pointing at her laptop. I remember it was a Pro Air laptop, sorry. So she told me that she was late for a Zoom meeting and her computer needed some software updates that she didn't know how to navigate. And being the only ICT member of the ICT operation guy who was present at work that day, she needed me to do the software updates very fast so that she, gets back into her Zoom meeting. So accessing her computer to get those updates going and do the fixing meant that I should go and stand next to her and, work from that point. My good people, when I stood next to Madame Roseline, whatever hit me first was the cologne that she was wearing. Those kind of scents that momentarily makes your mind to freeze, and then you're temporarily confused and you don't know how to, proceed. And then her feminine aura, her presence there was so, confusing and intimidating. She was smelling fresh, and she was, her presence alone was scary, so to speak. So I fumbled on her laptop and, did whatever I had to do, the ICT stuff that I trained at Pwani University. And I managed to fix the bugs, and she was able to resume her Zoom meeting. And I went back to the office. As a man, I lost my concentration the moment I sat at my corner desk. I was like, damn, that woman's presence next to me was totally confusing, and it really gave me another perspective. I felt like that is the kind of air that I should be, breathing all the time, and, being around her, and the entire thing that comes with sophisticated women. So the men watching, why I would definitely lose my concentration. So the rest of that afternoon, there's nothing significant I did at work. So when my time to check out and leave and go back to my little house in Kawangware reached, so I left. So fast forward the following day, seated at my corner desk doing ICT stuff related to Taifa Tours and Travels, the HR walks in again, and this time around, Socrates, the CEO again wants to see you quickly. There's something that is still frustrating her on her personal computer. So now you know the office, just head there. So I rise up from my corner desk, then I find my way to Mrs. Roseline Mutai's office to see what this was still frustrating her with her personal PC. So I head there, and then apparently there's one update that I had not fixed yesterday, perhaps because of the confusion that I had at that particular moment. So, you know, I was able to check it out. In less than 3-5 minutes I was done. But again, this lady and her dressing and her cologne and her presence, very sophisticated. Her English was pure British English, because then these are people who had studied at Ivy League schools abroad, and just being around her was so refreshing. So every moment that I was around her from the previous day to today, it was both refreshing and confusing. Confusing because I think the shyness that comes with being before such a lady, but also refreshing because of the class that surrounds you at that particular moment in time. You can understand. So I fixed the bag and was making it back to my office, my desk, sorry, at the ICT. Then she tells me, Socrates, I'm giving you the IMEI number of my laptop so that in case there is a software update needed in future, you can do it remotely without really coming to the office. I was like, yeah, that's okay, that's fine. I mean, yeah, so that it's only natural for such a lady to want minimal contact with people like me. So I understood. So she grabbed a paper and a pen and she wrote down the IMEI number of her laptop. Then she gave me the piece of paper. So I crumpled it, placed it in my pocket, left to my desk. So when I sat there, I took out the paper from my pocket so that I would diary the number, and you know, for future reference, I would get it. Instead of maybe I could lose the paper and going back to us for the email number would be difficult. So I took the paper and crumbled it, and began writing. Do you know what was on that paper was not the email number for Miss Rosaline's laptop, but the words that were there shook me to the core. She had boldly written her personal number with the words, Bamburi Hotel, 7 p.m. tonight, come alone. Those were the words that our good madam had written. Have you ever been confused, my people? Have you ever been, for a moment, I completely lost touch with the reality. Bamburi Hotel. It's a members-only hotel here in Nairobi, along Ngong Road. 7 p.m. tonight, alone, come alone. And of course with her private number. What on planet Earth did my 55-year-old boss living in another world want to meet me for at night at a members-only hotel? Perhaps we were going to continue updating the softwares of her laptop. Again, the rest of that afternoon, nothing happened at the ICT department of Taifa Tours and Travels Company. Gentleman here, yours truly was confused, out of radar, out of touch with reality. I was going to meet my boss for reasons best known to her. Fast forward, 5 p.m. I grab my laptop, throw it into my old bag, and pew, mbio hadi Kawangware, where I used to live. I was going to look for my best clothes and prepare for the evening. All this time around, there were two possible things. I was either looking at a salary raise, job raise, continuation of software updates of her laptop, or this was the glaring beginning of an illicit affair. Because then, what else? Fast forward 7 p.m. Uber. Between Kawangware and Ngong Road, for those of you who understand the architecture of Nairobi, it's not very far. So I get to Bamburi Hotel, and I find my good boss, Roseline Mutai, 55 years of age, looking dolled up, looking all steamed up, fresh and easy, you know, donning the very best of fabrics, silk that maybe would have been imported as late as yesterday, golden wristwatch. The cologne was next level. Sitting alone at the center table of the restaurant, looking easy and calm. You know, when you're around those kind of environments, the gentleness in you kicks in, and you have to act gentle even if it's a tall order. You have to fake it, because then one little mess, one little mistake, one useless move, it comes crumbling. So I tried to compose myself, you know, the little bit of English that I'd grabbed from Pwani University kicked in, and, you know, we began the evening. We spoke. We got to know each other. She told me about her very illustrious career journey, her stints in the US, Europe, and how she began her corporate administration in England before relocating to Kenya to start her farm. I also told her about my less flowery life. We talked about weather, sports, politics, you know, the elections are coming, a little bit of Raila there, a little bit of Ruto there, and that. Now, the drinks were were flowing in, the evening was calm. There was a very nice background music in that hotel. Remember, it's a members only, right? So at around 8:30, these drinks that we were taking began kicking into our souls, and we began, you know, deviating from these kind of talks that we were having into talking about our relationships and the people we've dated, her marriage life, the person she was with now, and how she told me she thought I was a fine gentleman who was worthy of her company, as she put it, and also she made me swear not to let anybody, including our HR back at Taifa, to know of this night where we met. I was like, yo, I mean, why would anyone know? So, 9 p.m., both of us tipsy, and you know when you say tipsy, the word touchy comes in automatically. So we got tipsy and touchy, you know, very soft skin, and at some point our lips interlock, and that was the most passionate kiss I've ever had. And I was like, damn, this moment is the beginning of a life I'd only dreamt of. My life was gonna change. My mom's life was going to change. My 7 siblings' lives were going to change. I was dating my boss. I was going to have access, financial access, resource access. Anything I dreamt of was going to come in automatically. Make no mistake, I knew that this was very wrong. I knew, 55 years old. I was only 24. Pure, morally off. But teach me like a 1-year-old kid. What did I have to lose? 24 years of poverty, social torture. And then money present itself, opportunity present itself. All I had to do was to become emotionally and physically available for her. Come on. I dived into that relationship without breaks, and we moved. Around 10-ish, she was like, no, enough of the drinks, enough of the restaurant-ora. I should take her home, and then making sure she's well into her apartments, then I'll take an Uber back to my house. We got into Prado, the new generation, and moved. So we drove towards her place at Ngong Road, just on the Dagoretti roundabout. She was living just behind the alleys over there. So during the drive to her place, we would occasionally, you know, whisper sweet nothings into each other's ears, blow a kiss or two. A perfect romantic drive between two newly couples who had just started up something fiery, you know. So after a few minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, we get to her place, and she tells me, just come in, get a drink, can I have one last drink together? She made it also clear to me that the husband was out of town, I should not worry. Mini nani. We got into a house. I don't want to take more time explaining how that house was, my good people. That was a house and a half. That was the house for the haves. That is the kind of house you walk in and your perception, your social perception changes. I felt comfortable. I said, this is the life. This is the life I wanted to live. My dreams were kicking in that night. Have you ever felt like you've made it? Your boy, he had made it that night. So we, you know, a lovey-dovey, we sat at the couch, and, you know, I don't want to get you into the mood, so let's skip that bit. So after around 5 minutes of, you know, just washing away with some fine wine, a hoot at the gate. And then she peeps through the curtain. Yo, like, who's that now? The husband is supposed to be out of town. And she peeps and like yo, my husband, that's my husband's car over there. Very slick Range Rover. I could see it from the curtains blinds. And I'm like, what? You say that your husband was out of town? I said, don't worry. Let me go open the gates for him. When he gets in, so I just tell him, I'll tell him you came to fix the internet cable or something. So don't worry, Socrates, relax. I got you. I'm like, where? What are you saying, boss? What are you saying? Will he understand? And my 55-year-old queen reassured me that, Socrates, don't worry, relax. He will not know. How would he know? You're just my fundi who came to fix this. He doesn't care about all that. So don't worry, nobody's gonna beat you up. No one cares, bro, so relax. And I was relaxed. My mom back at home, 7 children, no education. I'm the only person who has gone through the university. My dad left, functional alcoholic, who went away 7 years ago, was raising another family who God knows I was here. So 2 things. Is either the husband would spare me, right? The husband would spare me, or I was going to be shot dead. They say bibi ya mtu is a no-go zone. So I was hanging on that dangerous balance. She rushes out, opens the gate. Very nice car, full option, a Range Rover. New generation comes in. I could see a very sophisticated figure, though, you know, it's night time, so outside I would not figure out who this person is. So I got a stool very fast, climbed it, and, you know, began fixing some imaginary internet cable, and I could hear them approaching the main house through the front entrance. They were chatting like lovebirds who had missed each other, catching up on how the house is, the company back is. I would hear Mrs. Roseline telling the husband that her internet fundi was around to check the internet for her. And I could hear the guy was so easy, much as they had not yet gotten in. So by the time they were getting in, I was also finishing preparing the imaginary internet cable. So I was, getting out of the stool because the cable was somewhere on the next to the ceiling. So I had to, I had some spanner I'd picked from one of her drawers. So the girlies, they get in, I say hi to the husband, then she sees me off. I pick an Uber and continue with the illicit affair tomorrow. So the doors swings open and the two of them walk in. So I turn back and ready to greet the man of the house, the husband to my boss. That is when I came in full sight of my dad, who I had not seen for 7 years. Mrs. Roseline Mutai's husband was my long lost dad.